really powerful. I think that to empower women and not just necessarily to work and produce services, but at the same time you educated the clientele, tourist per se, on knowing the culture, and also you mentioned about photography. Also, I think that's another services that nowadays more female who are financially independent they would like to travel a lot. You know, I've seen in Cambodia also. We've seen ladies from Japan or Korea, they coming here alone or with their friends, and they would love to have a guide, female guides also. This is important also to promote women on these services. And also looking at the cooking also, you have the ideas how to attract the tourists to come and see the root and the person who's producing or making the recipes. That's really incredible, because in fact that this is something that we need to see to stretch the envelope of how to empower women on different sectors. I believe that we get into another topic here, the development of case for sourcing from women vendors. Before I would like to introduce Ms. Letty Chivara. She's from the UN Women. She's the chief of African divisions, UN Women. And the question is that what are the main link between women's economic empowerment and development? Ms. Chivara, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Honorable and Chair. And thank you to ITC for inviting me to be part of this dialogue, and for all of you for the opportunity to have this dialogue with you. I didn't prepare a presentation because I was briefed that this is really for us to dialogue and share our experiences in unpacking some of the questions that are being asked to us. The question you asked me is very broad. I could spend the whole day trying to create that linkage between women's economic empowerment and development. But however, I would like to focus on the tourism sector, as you have been discussing in the last session, but more importantly look at the issue of products and services from more of not only the opportunities as raised by the colleague from the Pacific, but also look at some of the challenges that women face to actually effectively engage in the tourism sector and move from being informal to being formal, but also from being small scale to big scale. And I'm going to base my discussion based on personal experience of having worked with the UN Women over almost 15 years. Most of the work we have been doing in UN Women on women's economic empowerment has, and particularly generally women's economic empowerment, but also it relates to tourism sector, has revealed 4 key challenges that I would like to share with you, and also share some experiences of how we have addressed some of those challenges in our work. First is the whole issue of unequal access to productive resources, particularly land assets, energy, technology, and credit. On this issue of access to productive resources, and if I can zero in on technology and credit, I managed for UN Women a program for the World Bank and UN Women, former UNIFEM then, on results-based initiatives on women's economic empowerment for 3 years. And one of the projects, 2 of the projects we had focused on this issue that we are discussing today. One was working with women from Kenya who come from a very remote part of Kenya, the Maasai women, who produce this beautiful beadwork. but nobody knew or nobody really took them seriously in terms of their contribution, not only to the economies of their families and the country, but to the broader tourism sector of the country. But through that initiative, what I learned was that the challenges of credit, marketing, and also technology really made it very difficult for these women to get their products on the market, but also to get their products to the required standard for them to compete on the international global market. So we had to work around that. And it wasn't easy because most of the women were not educated. So how do you begin to train women who come from a village in Maasai, but who have the skill? They know how to work their hands, and they do the best beads in the world. And for them, it's you are born with it. You don't have to be taught how to make beadwork, because for them, it's natural, and they do the best beads. And I wish I had put on my red and white beadwork from those women. But one challenge that we had was they were not educated. How do you even begin to get them to understand new technologies, new designs, the marketing, which is now all technology savvy, where you have to have internet, you have to have websites, you have to market through various modes that require knowledge of use of technology. They also live in villages where there's no electricity. So there were lots of challenges. And I just want to bring these challenges to this dialogue to say, if we are really to get these women who could actually be engines of change in this sector, but also in economic empowerment, we need to address those challenges, which are really key. The other group we worked with was a group of women in the Mekong region of the Asia Pacific, of the Southeast Asia. We were working with women bamboo handicraft workers. The bamboo handicraft workers, one of the issues I noted with that group of women was that the commercialization of the bamboo handicraft has actually crowded out the women who have, over the years, been making bamboo handicrafts, which are now seen on the market, but they are now made by commercial companies from China, from Thailand, from everywhere. So for these women to compete with these big commercial enterprises was a challenge. So again, how do you get these women to continue to be relevant to a sector that is very competitive now, because it's now overtaken by the big players who have the technology, who have the money, and who have the access to information on what is selling. So that was a big challenge. And one of the things we did with the bamboo, one of the challenges also with the bamboo women was, we said, okay, fine, let's organize exchange visits for you, so that we can actually link you to those big players, the outsourcing we are talking about, so that they can actually be outsourced, their services and their products can be outsourced by those big players. But you know what? The women were not even prepared. They didn't like that idea. They thought they were going to sell what they know best to these big players, and they will not benefit. So it was also a challenge in that case. So the whole idea you mentioned, my colleague from Pacific, of niche marketing also came with these two groups. When we were working with the Maasai bead workers, we said, okay, fine, we got an NGO to help them to improve their product, to market, to make sure that they have flyers and things like that. But one thing we had to sort of bring a culture in the women was to sell the story behind the beadwork, which is the niche marketing idea, which means you could still go to a market and still find beadwork made by the commercial enterprises, but you could actually decide to buy a Maasai woman's beadwork because it has a story behind it. But again, the challenge was, how do you even document that story? What makes them make that beadwork the way they make it? So those issues also became very challenging to address in the work we were doing. So that's the one challenge that I just wanted to focus on. The other one was the limited awareness of the, exigencies of the market, such as norms, standards, and quality. And I think colleagues who have spoken before me have already talked about the issue of standards and all that. Again, this was a major, major challenge of our work, and we continue to see that as a major challenge. But there is ways that we could try to support and build partnerships between these women producers with the big players, so that their markets can, their products can be marketed at a higher level. One of the things we did, for example, with the Rwanda women basket makers was, again, using the issue of telling the story behind the product, was we marketed the baskets as peace baskets, because they were done by women who were in solidarity and creating peace in their community after the genocide. And therefore, the Macy's, which is a big chain store in New York, agreed to buy these products. And for now, the women are able to actually market their products through Macy's, and they are now on the global market. So I just wanted to share some of these examples, but of course, I can share much more. As I said, I would need a whole day to share my experience.
Again, I thank you for your side of the story, which how to bring the woman who's behind the scene producing the products and create to make it more attractive, so that people will understand that this is products is from women, so that we can be attracted to the buyers themselves. And also the technology and the credits that needs to be supported, to be used and supported to these activities. There will be, last but not least, before we have a question and answer for 10 minutes, I would like to introduce Ms. Ozol. Sorry about this. My pronunciations. She's from the Business Professional Woman, BPW, Turkey, and of course Ms. Arjol is from Ankara, Turkey, and I would like to put the question on her, especially on the example how to integrate women into tourism value chain positively impacted development from the experience of Turkey.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. You have the floor. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to welcome you. I hope you have a time to spend this beautiful city. I have a brief explanation for the current situation of Turkey. Today, tourism represents around 35% of the world's export of services and over 70% in least developed countries. In contravention of economical benefits, tourism sector causes many severe and cultural damage. After 2002, the key multilateral governance processes have developed to adapt more equitable distribution of benefits derived from tourism among all relevant stakeholders. The most important approach that has been developed by Overseas Development Institute is value chain. By value chain, we mean the full range of activities that are required to bring a tourist to a destination and provide necessary services such as accommodation, catering, retail, and excursions. In order to increase profit from tourism sector, sectoral links between tourism and the non-tourism economy should be formed. Farmers, domestic food producers, artisans, construction workers, textile workers are the very well-known groups who are active in the non-tourism economy. When the subject is evaluated from the feminist perspective, there are inadequate representation of women in tourism sector as well as the other different sectors, even though there are many women in the food and craft supply chain. According to the 2008 report of Global Labor Trends, 212 million people are working in the tourism sector in all over the world, while 46% of these people are women, the others are the male workforce. On the other hand, the report of 15th UN Conference of World Tourism gives us very remarkable knowledge about women employment in tourism sector. According to this report, 50% of workforce working in hotels and restaurants are women in 15 European countries. This ratio rises to 60% in England and 70% in Finland, whereas only 25% of workforce in tourism sector is women in Turkey. We have 24,000 women in accommodation sector, more than 27,000 in food sector, 2,000 women in air transportation, 12,000 in travel agencies. On the other hand, especially for the last 20